Hello and welcome to today's 37th webinar in the On the Move webinar series, Preparing Your Warehouse for New World Challenges, brought to you by Honeywell Intelligrated. I'm Tracy Niehaus, Director of Marketing for Honeywell Intelligrated, and I'm your moderator today. We have just a few announcements before we begin. Please note that this presentation's audio is provided by phone number or through your computer sound system, so be sure to turn up your computer's volume. You may ask an online question at any time throughout today's presentation in the Q&A feature along the bottom of your screen. Simply type your question into the text area and hit send. Questions will be addressed at the conclusion of the presentation, with the exception of technical questions that can be asked and will be answered real time. Please note that we recommend that you be hardwired when attending this webinar. A Wi-Fi connection may result in lag time in slides updating, graphics loading, or videos playing. Today's webinar includes polling questions. Please feel free to answer these questions when they appear and be sure to click submit so we can include your responses, as we will be sharing the results real time during this live event. If you'd like to revisit key sections of today's webinar, it will be available on demand at intelligrated.com/on-the-move approximately 48 hours after this live event. And you'll also receive an email in a couple of days with a link to the recorded event. Now on to the presentation, Preparing Your Warehouse for New World Challenges. Discussing today's topic will be Jeff Anderson, Senior Offering Manager, Honeywell Voice. Jeff joined the Honeywell Voice team in February of 2019 to lead the voice enterprise software and market acceleration of the A700X body-worn computer. Previously, he led R&D and product development teams at Verizon, Sony, and Qualcomm. Throughout his career, he has overseen product and service launches such as cellular phones, security software, satellite radios, panoramic cameras, and has hosted content websites and mobile apps that enhance both work and play. Jeff earned a bachelor's degree in computer science from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University and a master's degree in computer science from Pace University. And with that introduction, the webinar will now begin.
Thanks, Tracy, for the great introduction, and welcome everybody to the On the Move webinar series. My name again is Jeff Anderson, and I'm looking forward to this presentation today. So before we kick this off, let's get started with the positives. The 21st century continues where the 20th century left off. Unprecedented advancements in technology, evolution, and innovation, and a faster rate of change than ever before. Great things for many people and in many walks of life. However, 2020 also showed its darker side with the COVID pandemic. How we come together, work together, and learn from each other is what will ultimately define our success in the face of such adversity. So today, we'll talk a little bit about the supply chain influences, and notably, one of the proven solutions that has enabled many of our critical businesses to remain effective during the events of 2020 and into the future. So our agenda. We're going to review some of the common characteristics experienced in the consumer behavior in the first half of 2020 and how we can be ready for the new normal, demands in the warehouse. 2020, a year like no other. So before we get into the weeds, let's set the scene and recap our observations for the year to date. So 2020. The lockdown has put unprecedented pressure on supply chain and retail businesses in general. Stores being closed, then limited opening times, and initially certain product shortages. For me, this meant essential goods like pasta, canned goods, and of course, toilet paper. When shoppers were allowed into the store, habits changed overnight. Major retailers reported that the value of each shopping experience doubled overnight, but the frequency of visits declined. So once a week, twice a month, big basket trips, that's the new normal. And this has far-reaching consequences on the entire supply chain. On top of this complication, we had the irony of warmer than normal temperatures in the springtime lockdown, that further threw a monkey wrench into the product mix planning of the entire end-to-end supply chain. And finally, uncertainty, when or if there would ever be a return to normal. This is the major disruptor that we envisage the future to look like. And as you can see on the slide here, 44% of online shoppers make multiple purchases every 2 weeks, and a number that's increasing even in today's current environment. So let's talk about the observation, panic buying. From the top observations from our customers over the last few months, as we mentioned previously, certain products were just not available. Most people were always able to buy and get the basics, and shopping anytime, 24/7, with many stores open 7 days a week. However, we all received a massive shock to stand in line just to get into a supermarket, and then to see several long aisles, 4 shelves high, with absolutely nothing on them. This is a wake-up call for the world, just how important the supply chain engine is to everyday life, and how quickly it can come to a grinding halt. It's human nature to hoard when faced with shortages, and pandemic buying for basic items is still happening. So this is a really good slide. This is a representation from IRI research, and this is backed up with their statistics from the pandemic spread and the date of the implementation of lockdown per region. But here in the US, we saw almost a 10% increase in consumer packaged goods sales due to pandemic buying. That was life during March and April. How were we as businesses in the supply chain supposed to deal with that curveball? All right, as you heard, we are going to have several polling questions. This is the first one, and now it's participation time. We've heard from the analysts, but we'd like to hear from the real world and how this impacted everyone. We're conducting a live straw poll, and you should see some options on the screen, and we'd like to ask for some feedback. Yes, we've talked mostly so far about retail and consumer behavior, but we are aware that you may operate in different spaces. So in terms of total throughput in your businesses, purely as a result of panic buying, what did you experience? No change in throughput volume, 5% or more than 20 or 45%? Please answer with a quick click on the screen now. Okay, wow, all right, here's the results. What we've seen, an increase of 46% or more, 20% respondents. Little change, 30%. Decrease, 30%. So yes, the impact has been substantial. All right, thanks for sharing that information with us. All right, so as we can see the effects, this is what panic buying looks like. Increased pressure on essential grocery retail outlets, and people have to ramp up in order to meet higher customer demand, trying to keep those shelves full in the store. That required extra staff, and training that staff, additional equipment, and also required to implement and maintain unprecedented safety and hygiene standards. Who hasn't walked down a road the wrong way and gotten yelled at by somebody who doesn't like it? I think we've all encountered that, so it's best to pay attention. All right, another key observation, what we've seen is the increase in e-commerce. So driven by availability and health considerations, we saw an unprecedented surge in grocery online shopping. Several retailers have noted that driven by demand, they saw an increase of online deliveries of 103% in the first 3 weeks, and that demand is continuing, and it outstripped the supply, and now seems there's a challenge to book a premium slot to go pick up your goods at the store. The Internet Retail Group says this is likely to continue with predictions of growth in online grocery being as high as 30 to 35% this year. And at this point, who would bet against it? Non-food shopping has also seen seismic change, accessibility being the differentiator here. We have seen online year-over-year growth in the US. However, this is altogether something new. With non-essential stores being closed, the warehouse truly became the consumer's touch point and the only way to buy many goods. In May, we saw record growth almost 20% month over month, with other predictions estimating 200% year-over-year growth. That's a seismic moment. All right, another slide with some real interesting detail here. So retail shopping preferences for first time and repeat preferences. So what we've gotten from the pollsters is that 75% of shoppers overwhelmingly prefer to shop online for repeat purchases. This creates a huge demand again for the back end and for the infrastructure. So this creates a way for you to pivot and change the way you're doing business. All right, another polling question. This one is, what was the change in your online order volume from March to August over the same period 2019 and over the same period in 2019? So outside the first days of the pandemic buying and for those who are involved in e-commerce value chains, have you seen a change in your online order volume between March and May? What we've seen, again, from our suppliers is significant growth in online e-commerce. And not only that, just for basic goods, people buying toilet paper, people buying ordinary things that you would normally just drive down the store and pick up. But if they can avoid a trip to the store, they are avoiding a trip to the store. All right, and the results are, okay, the change increase of 21 to 45%, 44%, that's substantial, amazing. Increase of 5 to 20%, 33%. So almost 77% have seen over 5% growth and up to 45% growth. And some at the bottom end have seen a decrease of about 11%. Thanks again for that information. All right, back to the effects. So what does the increase in e-commerce mean to the warehouse? Well, similar effects as caused by the panic buying, but with more long-term impact. Additionally, and adding more unwanted pressure, the warehouse is now the last touch point before the customers experience their purchased product. And the burden of satisfaction falls squarely on the warehouse worker. Consumers have long memories and the ability to be heard on social media. And so consumer satisfaction, consumer retention, and loyalty will continue to be of paramount importance. And there will be no forgiveness for substandard service. So we take a look at the slide. Again, the effects: increased pressure on essential retail warehouses to ramp up and meet high customer demand. That means you've got to ensure your customers get the right product. We have to add extra staff, more equipment, and you've got to adapt to different picking methods because now we're picking individual orders, as we call them, eaches. That makes a significant higher risk for potential receiving the wrong goods. And we've got to get that shipped and delivered because people want food and they want their personal items quickly. So what do we have to do? We've got to implement and maintain unprecedented safety and hygiene standards, and that's across the industry. And what we've heard, even Amazon, a business that relies on and excels at warehouse-led businesses, announced while the sales increased 33% year over year in the first quarter, profits fell 26%. Jeff Bezos added that there would be an additional spend of $4 billion or more on coronavirus-related expenses in Q2. That's going to impact future plans. All right, what we've seen, again, a surge in demand. Our third observation, optimistically titled surge in demand. What we're getting back to is that some sort of normal. Some consumers start their retail therapy, queued for 5 hours before opening time just to get into some store. Undoubtedly, there's a surge of brick and mortar sales activity, but zero to what level? And the economy nervously awaits the results. With social distancing, shorter opening hours, and limited numbers of customers, many retailers, both food and non-food, are echoing Jeff Bezos' sentiment and commented that it's good to be back, but their operating models will need to be changed significantly, as operating under these conditions with more staff, less turnover per shopper head, and far more costly than business as usual. Okay, here we are, our third and final poll before we get into the meat and potatoes of Honeywell Voice. What change in your order volume have you seen in your operations in recent weeks as stores opened? All right, so we've seen, what we've seen from our customers is that the increases have continued over the summer, and the substantial increases have been happening into the fall. However, in the last month or so, there's been a decrease in on some of the operations, and some of that may be to the lack of funding and pandemic financing going to customers. All right, we completed the poll. Oh, wow. Okay, so an increase of 46%, 17% saw an increase of 46%. That's pretty significant. And then we've got 5 to 20%. That's 60% of you out there on the line. Fantastic. And little change, 17%. Great. Again, thank you very much for that information and feedback. All right, the effects. As we noted earlier, we still await meaningful data from our customers and the business analysts, but what we've heard to date suggests that the change in priorities is likely in the operation of the warehouse. But the impact, again, similar story with subtle variations. Perhaps lower bulk volumes, but more diverse throughput with more customized value-added services. It seems that the demand for high performance with the on-tap agility in the warehouse is becoming more and more critical for business growth and perhaps even survival. All right, what is the new normal? Perhaps a journey into the unknown is a little too dramatic, maybe too far out, but early indications strongly suggest that it won't be the same old world that we had before. So what is the new normal? What will we need for tomorrow? Online and e-commerce growth seems set to continue. The brick and mortar retail as we know it is currently and sadly in decline, with leading brands downsizing, going into bankruptcy, or shutting down completely, not to mention the closure of countless local businesses. Social distancing will continue in some form, and our attitude to personal space and hygiene may be forever altered. And then there's a specter of an incident or potential second wave. Are we prepared? Are we able to adapt? And are we ready for the unexpected? All right, so we're going to talk a little bit now about how Honeywell voice technology can help you manage the challenges. Honeywell offers a range of solutions for the distribution center operations, ranging from fully automated sites to robotics to the simple barcode scanner. This presentation will focus on the easiest to adopt competitive advantage, and that's Honeywell voice technology, and how Honeywell voice technology's agility and performance addresses the challenges we're facing in 2020 and beyond. Many of you will be familiar with the voice-guided working. However, a recap for any of the newbies out there. Voice technology as a basic concept is a user interface with a natural way of directing workers' activity, of giving the right information to a worker exactly when they need it, and allowing the worker to confirm via spoken responses what they've done. Think of it as a navigation in your car. When you get when you get the right information just before you need it, one step at a time. But of course, you don't have to look at a screen. Voice-directed workers move safely and efficiently, guided by instructions delivered as they move. It frees up two hands to do the job. It removes unnecessary actions like key presses, reading off screens, keyboard presses, scanning entries, or even juggling pen and paper. This allows you faster, more accurate work, and it leads to satisfaction and higher profitability for the business. Okay, so that said, the new solutions to business challenges should be focused on delivering value, not just technology. When considering a voice implementation, treat it like any other business improvement project, understanding what you're trying to do, what you need to achieve, and then make an informed decision. So our voice solutions, they put your empowered workers where you need them, armed with the right information to be effective. Voice integrates with all major ERP and WMS systems. Often there's a native interface and it's capable of connecting to multiple host business systems at one time, creating a common user experience for any task, voice or voice and screen-based. And there's a choice of mobile and PC-based platforms using best fit technologies in harmony. Voice and RFID, voice-controlled AGVs, voice and voice scanning, voice and camera, and screen and cobots and other mobile devices. There's a business information suite that give you a detailed information about the jobs that are actually carried out by the real people rather than just in theory, enabling warehouse reorganizations, for the example, based on a number of steps taken by workers as opposed to the total time. A rapid training tool that talks workers through a task one step at a time, validating their work, and then continues to coach them with simple guidance every day. Our customers tell us that newbies are often up to speed in days or even hours, whereas before voice, it took weeks or months. At last, truly fit for purpose, hyper rugged, hardware, water resistant, and rated at up to minus 30 degrees for any environment. So we discussed how you should approach a potential voice implementation, but what's our approach? What does good look like from our experience? We look to standardizing your tasks. That means repeatability of workflows for efficiency to make them represent your best plan. Optimization, adding people-based best practices, ergonomics that systems and system designers often overlook. And again, flawless execution. That means compliance, keeping workers on task, validating their work in real time, and ensuring no corners are cut and no steps or checks are missed. On top of that, there are options for reporting and predictive analytics to identify potential bottlenecks and other performance limiting issues that allows for continuous improvement. All right, thinking back to what we've seen over the first half of this year, voice is a natural, effective, and easy to use interface. Our customers often report 15 to 30% increases in productivity. That's with again, coming with a huge rate increase in accuracy, with improvements exceeding 99.9%. So that's 3 nines worth of accuracy. We talked already about shortening training and onboarding. That opens up labor markets, including where technology skills, literacy, languages, or vision issues that could pose challenges to other solutions. And again, there's continuous improvement and KPI dashboards that can be effective management tools. As a true multi-skilled workforce ready for any challenge and any change that may be presented to you, Honeywell Voice delivers. All right, now more detail about how our voice works. Voice lends itself to almost any activity executed by a person, both in traditional warehouses and also maintenance and service, quality assurance audit, and inspection. Anywhere a user-focused, timely, and relevant information exchange is important. As such, it fits perfectly to tasks like selecting and picking for orders, online or other, but also every distribution center activity, such as the agility of voice systems for that one-off activity where specialists work and kitting type of jobs can be handled easily now by a multi-skilled operator, leading the operator through the required steps and validating that every step that compliance is achieved. Specific to the online and B2C challenges we've discussed today, voice is extremely powerful for individual order preparation. And of course, why pick one customer order when you could pick 3, 6, or 10 at a time, all directed and validated for accuracy at every point to ensure that you achieve critical customer satisfaction. And again, a characteristic of e-commerce, the dreaded returns. our customers already report a reduction in errors. That means they have no less at fault returns, but also the nature of voice helps with that traditional high percentage of order to customer returns that can be as high as 50%, where item-specific checklists are spoken to a return department. Workers are enabled using voice to inspect the product and get it ready for sale again in the shortest period of time. Well, with voice, as we touched on, by its very nature offers hands-free operation, meaning both of your hands are free to handle safety and whatever other tasks you're assigned. Voice also offers eye-up working, meaning that you're focusing on what you're doing, looking where you're going, important if you drive a forklift or a pallet truck, where simultaneously getting instructions, completing tasks, or even walking in a congested area to your next job. Again, our customers report significant reduction in accidents and incidents when voice is deployed, and this contributes to a safer, more efficient environment for your employees. All right, now we're going to show you a brief video, and this is going to demonstrate how a worker using voice technology without any physical interaction with his equipment is able to start an order, get something wrong, and then get it right because the voice system corrects it.
286.
You said 286. Wrong barcode. Ready to try again.
Description.
So you heard the voice talking to the operator. It said, wrong pick, ready to try again.
Description is scenario 300G off point. Confirm 3 digits.
218. 784.
Pick 1.
1.
2. Correct.
Yes.
Confirming.
1.
1. Correct.
Yes.
Confirming. Please wait.
All right, when you hear that message confirming, that is the audio system collecting the operator's voice. Now going back and telling that operator that, hey, we are updating the back end, the inventory system, whatever else is going on in the background. So now that update has been done, he's completed his task, and it sends him over to the
Go
next
to
task.
131 Alpha. Say ready.
Ready.
All right, that's a terrific introduction to what you get out of voice. As you see, his hands are free, his eyes are up, and he doesn't have any interaction with the device at all. And he's wearing that headset, which again is a comfortable ergonomic device that's covering one ear. So as you see on the right-hand side of the picture, you'll see a forklift with a forklift mount that mounts the Honeywell device on it. So the operator can be wearing a headset without having the device worn on his body.
286.
All right, now this is a big issue where we've got everybody wearing PPE or different facial covering in the warehouse. As you may have heard earlier, I'm really proud of how we're supporting almost all the major European, US, and Asian grocers and DC operations to keep food flowing this year, despite the challenges we've been talking about. More important is the ability to work normally with a face mask and face covering, and ensure all recommended health guidelines are followed. This is not a new feature, as we've always had workers using face coverings for years, mainly for comfort purposes in freezer environments where the users may be working at minus 30 degrees centigrade. While we have the ability via voice software to direct workers to specific places, for example, to direct a worker to aisle 3 as aisle 2, which would have been their next job, has a spillage reported, or there's a forklift working there, or there's some other reason. We are now releasing a new feature that expands on that simple practice that will help with social distancing and compliance. Social distancing proximity sensing will be detected and can check the distance between workers that are wearing the same devices. This detection system will alert users and management of any breach of local guidelines and also certify that good working practices are being employed. Any transgressions can be also tracked for analysis and retraining purposes. All right, finally, best practices. Best practices in the warehouse should be an aspirational journey, not just the destination. I've already talked about the philosophy of adding value at all points and not charging headlong into technology solutions, but to consider other factors as well. Yes, we're all about empowering our most important resource, people. Yes, we improve safety and compliance. Yes, we provide workers with just-in-time information and step-by-step guidance for any activity. And yes, we provide unlimited agility to adapt and scale to trends, seasonal demands, and even 2020 challenges. But we're also providing people friendly ergonomic solutions that, with full guidance to use them in a safe and hygienic way. For example, have your own personal hygiene elements like headbands and mouthpieces. Share only the more important expensive electronics. That's what we saw in the video. These devices never get touched. And it's difficult to do that with a scanner, tablet, or laptop PC. We also provide cleaning routines and advice to contribute to a safer experience. As you can see, voice is an investment in the future of your business, in your customers, and in your people. It's a super agile and fully scalable solution. It's also well-liked, and it's easily adopted by any new workers and any new management, and adapts to the challenges of today and even ever-changing needs of tomorrow. All right, that's all for me, but I'm happy to try and answer any questions. Now you can reach out to myself or to my colleagues for a more specific discussion.
All right, thanks, Jeff. And as Jeff mentioned, we are going to move on to the question and answer portion of our event. And as a reminder, you can ask an online question during our Q&A portion just by going to your Q&A feature along the bottom of your screen. And you could submit a question that way. So we do have some questions that have come in, Jeff. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with those. Let's see. Okay, first question. You mentioned the operator gets the commands from the warehouse management system over Wi-Fi, but what happens if the Wi-Fi gets disconnected? Is the operator still able to do their job?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tracy. Yeah, we in the Honeywell voice system provides the ability to do offline work. The workflow can be downloaded and run locally by the operator. And when the body-worn unit gets back in network coverage, and the workflow gets started again, all the data are uploaded automatically to the management system, and everything in the back end then gets updated. It's also really important in freezers where Wi-Fi is hard to deploy, or for operators who move around on campus, or mobile workers who need to go off-site.
All right. Okay, next question. Let's see here. What if we need a combination of voice, scanners, or printers? How can we have the best of all worlds?
All right, well, that's a good question too. The Honeywell strategy is to allow for the maximum flexibility in configurations. So using wireless connections that are built into the body-worn computer, we can attach through Bluetooth connections, printers and scanners, and using our near-field communication, they can actually touch pair these some of these devices. So get a full breadth of connectivity. And all devices can be connected through the voice system as a hub in a single workflow with commands coming through the WMS. One of the steps, such as a check digit, it can be supplemented with a verbal command for a scan or a print. So yeah, we do, we thrive in working with other devices in the warehouse.
All right. Next question. Let's see. What is the baseline for the statistical improvements using voice? Up to 35% for increased productivity and up to 99.9% accuracy. And how are these improvements measured?
Yeah, that's a great question also. So, well, there's ranges of, for improvement because every customer is going to be different. And so we measure them with based on different ways that you might compare the technology. So in the case of comparing against a previously used paper implementation, that's where you get your, as far as you get best productivity and best accuracy, that's where you get your biggest improvements. When we're comparing against the RF and handheld devices, and that's, again, related to productivity and accuracy, you're going to get improvements, but not as big as what you get over paper. And we also look to improve on the physical facility layout and using the order volumes as a metric and as the way we do our calculation for the increased productivity and overall accuracy. So it's very easy to measure. Once a voice system is implemented, we can quickly measure against what work was previously done and what work is done in using voice.
Okay, I've got a two-part question for you. The first part is, what kind of devices can be used by the operator, followed by, does Honeywell Voice run on Android operating system?
Okay, see if I can get that. That's so yeah, so Honeywell, we're a global company, right? So for global deployments, customers are demanding open operating systems and a sustainable future. The Windows environment, Microsoft Windows CE, used to be the operating system of choice for these kind of devices, but the demand is now for Android and Linux-based because Windows CE is going out of tune next year. And so Honeywell is now focused on these open systems, Android and Linux, and that's going to carry us through for the long term. Honeywell's always provided the latest technology options, and we really have focused on a wide spectrum of products. The older Honeywell Windows CE or Windows Mobile Handheld have been in use since 2005, and we're now moving over to the Android and Linux-based. As the industry is moving, Honeywell is moving as well. And you can take those old applications and port them to the new devices so you don't lose out on the applications that you've been using. And Honeywell is always making it easier to integrate with back-end systems, currently working with big companies such as SAP, Microsoft Dynamics, and other very important warehouse management systems.
Okay. Can you control robots with voice?
Yes, we can. And very interesting because we're working on a field trial right now with controlling forklifts using Honeywell Voice. So Honeywell Voice is integrated already with robots, again, autonomous forklifts. And we have developed workflows that are able to use our commands with other automated systems as well. And as I mentioned, we also use Honeywell Voice to do maintenance and inspection operations and also returns. So there's a tremendous amount of applications for Honeywell Voice, including going forward with automated devices and robotics.
Great. Let's see. Okay. Can you run voice with other technologies like Pick-to-Light?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. So the Pick-to-Light is, again, a great technology, and it works well in dense pickings area. We use this as a complementary function where Honeywell Voice can be used as combined with the Pick-to-Light to get the best of both worlds.
Okay. Oh, I think you've probably heard this next question before. What is the decision process to select a technology to solve the business problems? What are the trade-offs to select voice versus scanning or voice versus automation?
Yeah, that's always a challenge. And again, it depends on the size and scale of your business, how your operations are currently working right now, and where we look to come in and provide a solution that's going to make and improve the work life. So it's usually not an either-or question. These technologies can be used together and are often used together. And I think about 20% of our customers are using voice combined with scanning and printing. So voice is often used with automation for sortation of exceptions and for non-conveyables. So yeah, we do, we try to solve the problem as we integrate with other technology. And again, where it makes sense, we put in voice.
All right, so questions just keep coming in, so I'll keep throwing them out to you. Let's see. I've heard voice is hard to install or takes a long time to install. Why should I do that instead of using a technology like scanning that can be installed more quickly?
Yeah, so there's some key advantages to voice, and voice provides a significant improvement, and it kind of levels the playing field for all your workers. And it also has the benefits of eyes-free, hands-free operation, which provides for additional worker safety. And voice operations are really not impacted by operators who may have vision impaired problems, and they can also perform the same in low light environments where lighting could be an issue and you can't read the screen. So again, those are some of the key benefits over scanning, but there are certainly times when you want to use both, or maybe just use voice.
Okay. Voice seems like something that is used in large warehouses with great success, but is there an option for smaller warehouses?
Oh, yeah, that's a very good question. Also, voice as an application is very scalable. And as we discussed before, you can connect a single workflow with scanners and printers to achieve the best performance for the application. And again, we work across multiple platforms and handheld devices as well as body-worn computers. So voice as a scalable solution. You can start as small and grow big. We grow with you.
Okay, so I'm combining a couple questions here. So we had a question that came in about like, could voice understand Spanish? But then I also have another question that I think we can roll that one up into. This question is, what if I have facilities in Canada, Mexico, and the USA and want to have the same workflow for operators speaking US English, Spanish, French, Canadian, and maybe even Brazilian Portuguese? How can a single voice application be used for all of these languages and dialects?
Well, that's a very important question. And you should ask that of anybody that you talk to who's providing voice technology. You need to look for customer references who have a similar operation. In Honeywell's case, customers create a single voice application, and all operators have the flexibility to select the language they want to use, up to 43 languages and dialects. So Brazilian Portuguese, French Canadian, English, Spanish, use one single application, and we do the conversion to the specific language that you're going to be using.
So then obviously that you did answer the question that the system can understand Spanish.
Right.
Exactly. Right. And you'll remember, I mean, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I can't, it's like, how many different languages that the Honeywell voice can do?
We can speak 43 different languages and dialects. So we're a global company, and we support many of the global companies with a single voice application running across all these dialects and languages.
Okay, so you'll like this next question too. Is your voice hardware generic or Honeywell Vocalect?
Well, we work on two different platforms. So there's a Honeywell Vocalect platform that's a purpose-built computer, and that's the device that has a wide range of temperature operation, but also doesn't have a screen. So it's a very purpose-built device, and that's specialized for the Honeywell voice operation. We also work with the Android platform. So we offer from Honeywell two different Android platforms, but we can also port our software onto other Android platforms as well. So we are a multi-platform supplier.
All right, I have another question in here. It's a two-part question also. What do we need to implement voice in our organization? What hardware and software?
Well, again, that's going to depend, but traditionally you want a mobile device management platform that manages all your devices. You want devices, headsets, which are where you receive the command, and you're going to want batteries, battery chargers, and stations where you might want to be able to do your cleaning and things like that. And so again, it's a very small footprint, but you will want a couple of different pieces of technology. And again, we plug into the enterprise level with our mobile device management software, and we provide all the safety and security that everybody's requiring, including up to the DoD security level. So you definitely want to get the right equipment, which we can help you with. But again, it's not going to be that big of a footprint in your environment.
All right, Jeff. Well, I think that's going to wrap it for today. We've covered all of the questions that we got in from our audience. So I want to say thanks to you for your participation. Great presenter as always, and also thanks to our audience for their participation in our live Q&A feature of the event. And the next thing I want to let everyone know is, just as a reminder, within 48 hours after this live event, you can access this presentation on demand at intelligrated.com/on-the-move. And you'll also receive an email with a link to a white paper, Give Voice to Productivity, Profitability, and Safety in Retail Distribution Centers. So on behalf of Honeywell Intelligrated, thank you for attending today's On the Move webinar. We hope you can join us for one or all of our 3 remaining webinars, as our Strategies for Driving Productivity in Challenging Times webinar series continues through October. Registration information can be found on our website at intelligrated.com/on-the-move. So thanks again for joining us, and have a great afternoon.